Info isn't enough. Now listen to me very carefully. Just because you read 15 books, binge watched neuronologist videos for 5 hours, and listened to a manifestation podcast for 3 weeks straight, doesn't mean that you're going to get everything you want in the blink of an eye. The knowing of something, the knowing of something is not the same as the embodiment of it. Are we together? So what you have been doing is you have been accumulating. You've been accumulating concepts, formulas, ideas, perspectives, but you've not been integrating them. And you see, the thing is, you need to understand one thing. God responds. Are we together? God responds to just one thing: conviction, which is a result of what? Coherence. Now, you have been very incoherent, and that is what, let me bend. And that is why you've not been getting whatever it is that you want. You know, the funny thing, today I was making a vision board. I was making my vision board for the first time. Like, you know. And I kept looking at it and I was like, oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes. Full videos on my vlog channel. Make sure to check it out. Anyway, so you're probably wondering, how exactly do I become coherent? Now, for easier terms, when you go to a supermarket and you pick something off the shelf, let's say you take a carton of milk, and you go with it to the cashier. Is it the cashier or is it where you go to pay for things? Are they going to let you walk out of that supermarket with that box or carton of milk unless you pay for it? Exactly. So for you, paying for the carton of milk is symbolic of right to ownership. So when you're busy asking for things, when you're busy desiring, manifesting, God, universe, higher being, intelligence asks you, why should I give it to you? Why should I allow it to come into your reality? Why exactly should I facilitate its entry into your experience? Because you're so focused on reading affirmations, you're so focused on doing all these things, but you're overlooking the one important thing, that coherence is what matters. So in this case, you can't walk out of a supermarket. You can't walk out of a supermarket with something you haven't paid for. You can't get into a shop. You can't get into a business, someone's business, and walk out with a product or service or an experience without having paid for it. So payment facilitates experience. So when it comes to your reality, you're not stuck because you don't know enough. You're stuck because you know too much and you incorporate too little. That was Abba. Write that down. You know too much. You know too much, you read too many books, but you incorporate very, if little to none. Incorporate very little or none at all. And that is why despite all your genius, despite all your creativity, despite all your manifestation belief, despite all the things you're doing, your reality is still looking at you and saying, look at this madman. Abi, look at this madman. It's because you do not incorporate what you learn. So in this video, I'm not going to teach you formulas or concepts. I'm going to teach you the art of integration. Are we together? I'm going to teach you the art of integration, because integration facilitates embodiment. Embodiment results into conviction. Conviction communicates ownership, and the universe acts accordingly. Now, before I tell you the concept of integration, let me give you a bit of backstory. Are we together? If you've watched my videos, by the way, subscribe. Okay. If you've watched my videos long enough, you know that I address, or at least I conceptualize, the universal field as a field of potential. What this means is that all the realities, all the experiences, all the things you want for yourself, they are quite basically, is this mic working? I constantly have to confirm if this mic is working, because this thing composure. Yes, the universe is a universal field of potential. It means that everything you want, every place you want to step into, everyone you want to experience, thing, place, money, whatever it is it is currently existent as possibility. Are we together? It is existent as possibility. Yeah, it is existent as possibility in form of signal or frequency. I hope you can see that. I think, yeah, let me write it down for you here. In form of signal or frequency. Pick whatever works with you and move on with it. Now, because it exists as mere possibility, understand that when you conceptualize it, when you conceptualize it, Abby, when you conceptualize it, you now collapse it from possibility into inevitability. But now, in between the conceptualization and the making of it to be an inevitability is where a lot of people go wrong. It's because people think like, just because I've thought of it, just because I saw it, just because I put it on my vision board, just because I journal about it every night, it's going to come into my life, I'm going to have it. It doesn't work like that, sweetheart. Are we together? Thinking is not the same as embodying it. Are we together? It's like me looking at a glass on a shelf. Just because I've looked at that glass, it doesn't mean that glass is now mine, that I can go take it. No. So the process, the difference, the steps between looking at that glass, moving towards that glass energetically, frequentially, and having it in your hand materialistically, materialistically, is what we call true manifestation. So thinking is not enough. So from possibility to inevitability. Now inevitability after that is where it becomes materialized. Materialized. Are we together? Now, since the universal field, God, whatever, is a field of potential, and everything you want for yourself is quite frankly possibility in form of signal or frequency. It means you, my friend, are an emitter. Now, this marker, you, my friend, are what I call an emitter. See yourself as an antenna, the one for decoders, the one that captures signal and then you watch on TV. The reality being a large TV screen, it will only render the image that is facilitated with regards to the clear reading of the signal being emitted. That was a bar. Write that down. Are we together? So you being an emitter, it means that every second of your life, every moment that you're existing, you are emitting a signal. Yeah? So this being the universal field of potential, these circles, these concentric circles, they represent potential, so this could be a reality where you're a millionaire, a reality where you're poor, a reality where you have no legs, a reality where you have legs, a reality where you have 5 kids, a reality, like every single point represents a possibility. Are we together? But when you conceptualize it, now you collapse it into inevitability. Now you mask out all these possibilities, and now you hyper focus on this one. Are we together? So you being an emitter and you emitting a signal, it means that at every single point of your existence, you are associating with something, place, or experience. You've heard of the concept of multiple parallel universes, that at every point of decision, you split reality and you enter another one. Now try to wrap your head around that. So it's like all this represent multiple roads. But the moment you sit and you say, I want to take that road, now every other road becomes invisible. And now that is the only road that you see. So when you're emitting a specific signal, it means that now you are communicating that now this is the reality I want. Now this is me. And you see the universal field of potential simply being responsive. Understand that reality is not combative. A lot of times we like to treat reality as if it's out to kill us. Reality isn't combative. It doesn't want to fight you. It wants to talk with you. Creation is a conversation. It's not a command. Are we together? Yeah. That was a bar as well. So you emit a signal. So if you, for example, are reading 15 books, listening to multiple podcasts, binge watching multiple manifestation videos, such as mine, of course, love you, you might think that it is enough to get what you want. And like I've said, thinking, seeing, believing is not enough to own, because you, by seeing that thing, by believing in it and walking into the supermarket, it's like walking into the supermarket and seeing something on the shelf. But just because you've seen it doesn't mean it's yours. If you take it, they will arrest you if you don't pay. So in this case, what you need to do is to buy. You need to pay for that product for you to have it. So what does paying mean in this example? Jibu, what does it mean? Paying equates to what? Embodiment. Now, you've had this concept a lot. You're probably tired of it. I get you. I've been there. But true embodiment is not sitting under the sun and saying everything works for my good. I am in control. God loves me. I am God's unique child. Blah, blah, blah. Money comes to me. Are you mad? Of course you're not. You're listening to me. Embodiment is not that. Embodiment is signal coherence. Now, this is a term I'm going to be using a lot in the subsequent years and months. So get used to there. Signal coherence. Now, what signal coherence means is basically, like I've told you initially, because you are always constantly resonating with something in the universal field of potential. It means that manifestation is now you moving from an unconscious point of resonance to a conscious choice. Manifestation is conscious choice of resonance. So in this case, you're like, I want to resonate with this. I am resonant with this amount of money. I am resonant with this specific frequency. I am resonant with this specific experience. And that being the case, that is exactly what you will get. All together. So signal coherence to be, let me wrap this part. Ooh. What you know about rolling down in the deep when your brain goes numb. Call it mental freeze when they're talking too much. But that realized I have a really deep voice. Moving slow motion. I feel like an astronaut in the ocean. So in this case, the item, the experience, the place, the person, let's put it as X. Are we together? So X has a matching frequency. This isn't algebra or integration. It's simply manifestation. This is the frequency, Fx. But now you, because you want to experience this thing, it means that because you don't have it, it means you're not resonating with it yet. So possibly your frequency is like Fd or Fe. Basically, this implies the difference. Are we together? The difference between the frequency you're emitting and the frequency you want to experience, which results to the materialization of the experience you want. Is this thing working? Okay. So signal coherence is basically taking FD, your frequency, and aligning it with Fx. You are not replacing anything. Understand clearly. I am not indicating, I'm not hinting towards replacement or eradication of a frequency. I am directing you towards the conversion of it. Transmutation. If you read physics, you know energy is not lost. It is not, energy isn't lost, or energy, what is this word? There's this term in physics that says energy isn't destroyed, it is not lost, it is simply converted. Yeah, so heat turning to cold is not different, it is transmutation. It is, you get what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so in this case, you are that you're transmuting, you're converting. Hey God, I don't want to start speaking Swahili here. So what you do is, when your frequency is at that, what happens? It is in sync with the specific reality, in this case Fx. And what happens? Feedback is brought in as what? Result, alignment, manifestation, whatever it is. Are we together? Now, I know that sounds very simple, but now the hard part is this. I hope you've understood that. You better have. I'll teach small people, but I know you have. So basically, that's what integration means. So integration means signal coherence. That being the case, are you starting to see where the mismatch is? Now let me expound this for you. Let me expand for you. Being that, I don't want to wrap this part, is very important. Being that signal coherence is integration, being signal coherence is what leads to the manifestation of what you want. Why is it that despite you knowing this knowledge, you might still not be able to manifest everything you want, even after binge watching this video and reading these notes and doing everything that I'm telling you? It's because the problem is not in the content. Let me get that out of the way. The problem isn't in the content. The problem isn't even in how you are interpreting it. Understand that interpretation is simply that. It does not necessarily mean that because you read something a certain way, it's going to be like that. If that was the case, reality would be in chaos. Are we together? But it's not, because there's order. God is a God of order. It's not the content, it's not the interpretation. It's not even how many times you're listening to this content. The problem is in one thing. The reason signal coherence for you is becoming a challenge is because your conscious updates. Now, in this case, your conscious updates is the knowledge, yeah? is the knowledge you're accumulating, the things you're learning. And your subconscious models, which in this case is what is the emotionally charged interpretations you have of reality. Yeah? The emotionally charged interpretation. God, this handwriting will take me to Harvard. Of reality. Yeah. Let me see that. That I've literally written reality. Like reality. So your conscious updates, which in this case is the knowledge you are accumulating from the books, the podcast, the music, everything, is not coherent with the subconscious models, in this case, the emotionally charged interpretation of reality that you have. You don't believe me? Let's expand a scenario. You want to manifest a specific amount of money, Abby. You want that amount of money, give it a number. In your head, give it a number right now. If I told you that you can get it within 24 hours, you look at me like I'm a madman, because how exactly are you supposed to manifest that amount of money within 24 hours? But you see, you contradicting, you doubting what I've told you is indicative of what's going on a subconscious level. Because if you're emotionally attached to the belief that you cannot manifest that amount of money within that specific time, it doesn't matter how many manifestation books, podcasts, or whatever it is you listen to, you're not going to be able to manifest it, because reality responds to the subconscious mind's interpretation. It doesn't give an F about your conscious mind. And let's digest, yes. Let's digest that on a physiological level. This signal coherence, understand that this signal coherence goes both mentally, conscious, subconscious, and physiologically, nervous system. Now let me show you where the signal incoherence is not integrating into your part on a physiological level. When your subconscious mind, says no, no one can say yes. Action cannot force a yes. Belief cannot force a yes. Knowing cannot force a yes. Prayer cannot force a yes. You know that song that when Jesus says yes, nobody can say no. When Jesus says yes, nobody can say no. I have a nice voice. Yeah. So in this case, the subconscious mind, when it says no, no one can say yes. And you need to listen, understand that when the subconscious mind says no, your body registers the limit. Are we together? Your body registers the limit. That is why it doesn't matter how high or how excited you feel about a dream or a something that you want for yourself. As long as your subconscious mind says no, your body will register the limit. Now, the nervous system is the body's bodyguard. I've made a video on that. You can go check it out. The nervous system is the body's bodyguard. And what happens when the body says no? When the body says no, you need to understand that when the body says no, everything, data, outcomes, realities, put them in the box of data. Raw data is interpreted as fact, and fact becomes what? Truth. That was a bar, write that down. Fact becomes truth. So in this case, signal coherence becomes near impossible. Let me use that word for conceptualization. It becomes near impossible, because if the subconscious mind says no and the body registers the limit and it says, okay, they've said no, then we are not gonna be safe with this. You need to understand that anything that is gonna happen from there, any event, anything that someone says, whatever it is you try to do, it will constantly communicate the no that was being affirmed on a subconscious level. So you find that if you're trying to manifest a specific amount of money, and you're excited about it, you want it physically, you know you want it, it's good for you, but on a subconscious level, you do not feel safe with it. Money represents danger, money represents anxiety, money represents instability. You need to understand that anything that happens subsequently will now be seen, will now be filtered through the lens of no, or impossible or painful. And what happens, something that was just supposed to be raw data, like raw data, just raw, pause, becomes fact, and then it becomes truth. And because it becomes truth for you, what happens? It affirms the no that you are feeling. That is when you say, I just knew it was going to be difficult. I don't know how I can explain it, but I just suspect it was going to be difficult. Why? Exactly. So that being the case, signal coherence is neutral. Are we together? Signal coherence is very neutral because at any single point you are coherent with something. Your signal is indicating something. But signal incoherence is implied when you're trying to get a specific outcome and you're not getting it regardless of everything that you're doing. So those are two different things. Signal coherence is, that is why there's a quote that says, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. It's because the universe will respond to that. You can't, good, you can't, you're right. You can, damn, yeah, you can. So signal coherence is neutral, it's constant, but signal incoherence is implied in the specific moment where you're not getting the outcome that you want. So be able to differentiate those two. But I know you can. You're smart. You're listening to me, you're smart. Now that you understand why it works like that on a physiological level, you're probably asking, Tina, how do I facilitate signal coherence for myself? How do I do this, bitch? Like, save me. I can save you, you know. I love you. God, I'm weird and I love it. Signal coherence begins with what? Awareness. Awareness of what, you might wonder. Signal coherence begins, first of all, with awareness of the fact that reality is not combative, it is very responsive, number one. Number two, life is not happening to you, it is responding to you. Number three, you can't cook what you don't have in the fridge. Figure that out for yourself. When you become aware of this, you move from a place of passive existence. Yeah? You move from a place of passive existence to active co-creation. That was a bar, write that down. Yeah? Life is a project. You're not working on it alone as much as you may think you are. You're not working on it alone. So when you move from passive existence, oh, life is happening to me, I don't know why things are not working out, to active co-creation. I'm seeing this is happening. It does not align with what I want for myself. What is this telling me about me? That being the case, when you move from a place of awareness, you now start to track your signal. I'm not telling you to be a madman and sit and start asking yourself, I stabbed my toe last night. What did I think about that, brought that about? Oh, my employer was rude. Oh, how did I bring it about? Some things in reality are very just neutral. They just happen. They just happen. You might just be in a neutral state, and bad things, painful things are still going to happen. It does not mean that there's something wrong with you. Things just happen. Get that in your skull. Things just happen. Okay? They just happen. Not everything is a result of your thought or your belief. Not everything. You need to be able to discern these things. Discern. Abi? So, you track your signal. Now, what I mean by tracking your signal is start treating reality as feedback, not truth. You know, typically when things happen, we can easily move from a place of, oh my God, why is this happening? I feel so stuck. It is because when things, let me give you a little bit of see. Let me give you a little bit of see. When things happen, this is good. When things happen in reality, when something happens, someone says something happens, you stab your toe, you break your nail, you break your phone. That is feedback. That is just raw data coming in, and you're perceiving it through your eyes, through your ears, through your skin, whatever sensory organ is active in the moment with the specific scenario at hand. You're gonna perceive that. Now understand that data, raw data, passes through your subconscious brain, your emotional brain, before it gets to your conscious brain. Your conscious brain is somewhere around here in the front. Let me stand like this. Somewhere around here in the front, and your emotional brain is here. Abi? So when something happens, when raw data comes in, when someone says something, you do something, you know, something happens. It passes through your emotional brain before it gets to your conscious brain. And understand that the emotional part of your brain, which is in charge of emotional reactions and physical regulation, automatically goes into a frenzy. That is when you overreact. That is when you get triggered and you lose sense of yourself. Even if you are composed, even if you know you're not supposed to be triggered, you're still gonna be triggered. It's because your emotional brain is taking control. The driver who never sleeps. I've talked about this. The driver who never sleeps. So when that raw data passes through your emotional brain, it gets an interpretation. It's like a blank page, and when it passes to your subconscious brain, it becomes encrypted. It's written on something. So blank data, raw data, has now meaning. And you see, meaning defines reality. Meaning defines reality. That is why we chase the things we do. That is why we treat people the way we do, because there's meaning behind it. It's not the action, it's the meaning behind the action. Are we together? Meaning defines reality. So in that case, meaning is assigned. And when meaning is assigned, a subconscious narrative is formulated. This is how traumatic experience program you. This is why you constantly get stuck in loops and you feel like it's your trauma, but you don't know how. It's because your trauma is constantly operating in your life in form of subconscious narratives. In this case, the subconscious model that I keep talking about. So what happens in the subconscious narrative is drawn up. Of course, you're going to think that is reality. So you're like, oh, people are just like this. Life is just hard. I struggle, blah, 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 blah. Oh, she, oh, sha. What happens? The conscious updates you had in your conscious brain, be the things you read, the things you knew, they don't matter, because in that moment, your emotional brain is in charge and the subconscious narratives are taking root. That is why you can get into a very healthy relationship with someone who is very healthy. But because in your past, you've dealt with people who are unfaithful, disrespectful, irresponsible, all that shenanigans, it left an emotional imprint on you. Your subconscious mind was structured in accordance with that experience and a narrative was drawn up. So even if you try to go into another relationship, it won't work. It won't work even if you go to 55 pastors. It won't work. Quite frankly, because the subconscious narrative is in action. It is an active replay. The trauma is responding. So when I talk about trauma, I'm not talking about trauma from a place of abuse and all these things. Very relevant. I respect that. I'm not downplaying anyone's past experiences. But in this specific context, trauma refers to an event that had a high emotional output that resulted in the structuring or the reprogramming of your subconscious mind. Are we together? So when I say track your signal, you start by, oh my God, hello, is it me you're looking for? 'Cause I wonder where you are, and I wonder what you do. Are you somewhere feeling lonely? Or is someone loving you? Tell me how to win your heart, for I haven't got a clue. But let me start by saying, I love you. I know you know that song. If you're an oldies kind of person, you know that song. So the first step is to begin seeing reality as raw data. Pure feedback. I know it can be difficult when it's a highly emotional situation and you're feeling like you're under threat. I get it. But as your online therapist, online coach, online best friend, yes, I'm telling you, take it from me. Take everything in as raw data. Now, when you take everything as raw data, you pause. Yeah? What I mean by pause is, before you jump to a conclusion, analyze the ocean you want to jump into. Because every conclusion represents an ocean and every ocean represents a reality. So when something happens, in this case, raw data, maybe your coworker was rude. They were rude in the morning. In the moment you're about to say, I know she always has something on me. She just hates me. Pause and ask yourself, why are you jumping into an ocean that is full of sharks that are going to bite you and bleed you to death when you're claiming that you want to enter a pond that is full of water and bliss and abundance? Ask yourself that question. Abby, before you start blaming the devil and your ancestors, ask yourself that question. Why are you jumping into an ocean full of things you don't want? Then you want to come back and say, oh, life just happens. Me, I don't know what is going on. I constantly... Bitch, shut it up. Take control of your life, man. You're the captain. You're the captain of the ship, and you is in control. So anybody that tried to come and derail you, black them head off. What one? So every conclusion represents an ocean, and every ocean represents a reality. So before you jump into that, and you're like, oh, I know she normally hates you, ask yourself, wait. Yes, she was rude to me. Did I do anything on my end that facilitated that anger, or at least that validated that response? No. Fine. You didn't do anything to upset your coworker. You were just going by your day, and they just chose to behave. They just chose to behave. There's people who are like that. You take back your power when you realize, wait, this has nothing to do with me. Because in that moment when he or she was treating you that way, they were actually holding up a mirror against yourself. So your response to that is indicative of what is going under your signal. So if you respond to it and you say, she always thinks she's better than me. I just suspect she thinks she's better than me. You don't suspect she thinks she's better than you. You believe she thinks she's better than you because your signal is indicative of inadequacy. Are we together? Are we together? So extrapolate that definition that I've given you, that thought process, onto anything that happens. And I mean anything. I know it can be difficult with certain specific situations. Some things are beyond our control. Collective consciousness is in control sometimes. But for the most part, for the 80, several percent, you know you can deal with it. You know you're in control. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. Exactly. You pause. So in the moment of pausing, you separate narrative from fact. Fact is what you see. Narrative is what you believe from what you see. When you're able to do that, you are actually able to see what is now. This is where you ask yourself, what does this indicate about my what? About my signal, or my frequency, whatever it is. Indicate about my signal frequency. That moves you from a place of, oh, life is happening to me to wait. How is this a lesson? What can I learn? Simple, but life-changing. And finally, learn. No, not even learn. Wait. Analyze, learn, rewrite. ALR. When my marker is dead. ALR. Analyze, learn, rewrite. So once you're able to ask yourself, what is this indicative about my signal? Now you analyze, you've gotten the answer you wanted. You learn from it and you're like, you know what, maybe this is indicative that there's some level of self-esteem that I could be working on. There's something deeper that is this. It's running deep. It runs deep. And finally, rewrite. Now that you know the story, do you like it? You don't. Rewrite it. In this case, track, not even track, God. By rewriting, what I mean by rewriting is now focus on the subconscious models that you're running with. Yeah? Focus on the subconscious models that you're running with. In this case, you don't start saying, don't focus on the conscious knowledge that you have. Like I said, don't focus on the conscious knowledge that you have. Focus on the subconscious narrative that is in play here. So when you're able to look at this and you realize at some part, deep down on a level, there's actually an indication of inadequacy, self-esteem, lack of confidence in yourself. Ask yourself, does that lack of confidence, where is it coming from? Trace it to the roots. Are we together? You don't, if you cut a weed by the stem, it's gonna grow back. But if you pluck it by the roots, chances are it will never go back. So that's the same thing with this. You rewrite by what? Tracking. I just love that word, tracking. Looking at your subconscious models, the narratives going on, and ask yourself, go back to the roots. I'm not gonna do that with you. I'll leave that to you. So yeah, you're probably wondering, Tina, is there anything you can recommend for me? Of course, I got you. I got 2 journal templates for my babies and my boos. For the guys, my boo, you my boo. No matter what I do, all I think about is you. Even when I'm with my boo, I'm crazy over you. No matter what I do, all I think about is you. Even when I'm with my boo, I'm crazy over you. Number 1, daily mirror signal tracker template. This one is to be used on a daily or frequential basis. Altogether. So the main purpose of this one is to constantly bring you back to a place of co-creator, because with the busyness of life, with the schedule, it can be easy to drift into the point of feeling like you are subject to something. You are being controlled by a force outside of yourself. So this one is mainly based, it's like a grounding tool. Yeah. No matter what I do, all I think about is you. Even when I'm with my boo, I'm crazy over you. It's a grounding tool. Out together, stay grounded, stay in the ground, to be used on a frequential basis, repetitively. And number 2 is the distortion clearance template. Now this one, with regards to the signal tracking that I've talked about, you probably understand what signal incoherence is. So this one is mainly used to address signal incoherence. Now you have a reality, you want something for yourself, but it's not coming. Reality is conflicting. Things are not thinging. Businesses are not businessing. Jobs are not jobbing. Love is not loving. People are not peopling. That is when you use the distortion clearance template. The main function of this one is to highlight the causes of the patterns that are constantly reoccurring in your life. Abby, so you have patterns, you have those things you don't want. You're doing everything right, you still end up with the nonchalant man. You're doing everything right, you still make less than 50K per month. You're doing everything right, you still feel like you're stuck. You're doing, you know that I'm doing everything right, but. Now that is the answer to that statement is with the distortion clearance template. This one is to be used specifically when a pattern reoccurs that you are not at peace with. You see, when something happens and you feel dysregulated and you feel like fighting yourself and you feel like hitting the wall, exactly. That is when you use the distortion clearance template. Are we together? It clears the distortion in your signal. Are we together? Because signal incoherence, like I said, signal incoherence is indicative of a missing link. You want FX, but you're portraying FY. What is there? What is the missing? Why is this signal not aligning? Exactly. So the answer, you're gonna get it from there. Grab your copies. Link in the description box. Link in the description box. My mind runs so fast sometimes. So with that being said, do you see why reading 59 books and going to multiple trainings and signing up for coaching programs like a madman and buying multiple textbooks is not working? That is the reason geniuses suffer. Geniuses suffer because they believe genius is enough. It is not. The universe does not respect the smartest man. It respects the most aligned. That's why there's people you do not, they don't do the things the way you do, but they get everything you want. Why? But you're smarter than them. Exactly. So I'll see you in the next video. While you're at it, binge watch the other ones. Book a one-on-one. Book a one-on-one. Okay? I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Ciao.